Hello, welcome to another episode of Drinking with Comics, New Comic Book Day and a Beer. I'm Sean, and it's been a while since I've done one of these. Mike Schinnebarger and I have been focusing on the Energon universe, but I wanted to assure everybody that is not all that Drinking with Comics is going to be. So we did post the Batman Gothic deep dive last week, and this week I wanted to do, back to basics, New Comic Book Day and a beer. So the beer today, I've been holding this for a couple months. My friend Alex brought this to me. He came down from Indiana, stayed with us, then went on to Alabama, Huntsville, visited a friend there near the university. And there is a brewery there he's discovered that he's a big fan of, and he has made me a big fan. It's Straight to Ale. And this is the Black Sheep. So this is a pastry stout brewed with vanilla and maple syrup. Southern born, southern brewed, 10.9 alcohol by volume. Whoa. Oh man, this thing is jet black with a nice caramel brown head. Oh, wow. I have all kinds of feelings about this beer. This is delicious. I don't get the maple. I'm sure it's in there. Not contesting that. A lot of vanilla. Oh man, this is you know, a stout. A lot of stouts are very drinkable, so they kind of undermine the term stout if you used it as it is used in the English language. Stout, robust. This is very robust. Okay, well, I chew on that for a bit. It's chewy. It's very good. It's not, man, anyone that drinks more than one of these in a sitting is a fucking demon. And I mean that with respect. Comic books. I wanted to start. So the big one this week was Cobra Commander 5, and then Void Rivals 9 came out. We'll talk about those next week on Drunk on Energon. So Fall of the House of X 5. My loathing for the end of the Krakoa era has reached an all-time new high as of X-Men Forever. I mean, I can't hate a book more than I hate X-Men Forever or Rise of the Powers of X. I will tell you, Fall of the House of X, I thought started good. It got gobbledygook in the middle. I really enjoyed this final issue of this. So there's two issues of the Krakoa era left. It's Rise 5 next week, and then X-Men 35, or I guess slash X-Men 700, or Uncanny X-Men 700, June 5th. After that, I'm definitely out. I've seen the solicitations, not interested in anything they're doing. I understand now that they are in a hurry to get things lined up with where X-Men 97, the cartoon is, which is back to that, like, a much more superhero approach. I just think, again, it's a misstep to just abandon the Krakoa era. And I've noticed a lot of people now, it's like this turnaround where people are like, oh, the Krakoa era was a slog and this and that. And I mean, yes, at the end it has been, but I still just think I could have read a comic about the inner machinations of their government for years. I could have read, I just love that setup where it was really more of a Game of Thrones thing. You had Jerry Duggan's X-Men book, which was like the emergency response team based out of New York, which did the more superhero thing. And then X-Men Red Sword before that, the cosmic angle. There's so much potential. It makes me so sad. But, I didn't hate this. This was the final showdown with the AI members of Orcus. I liked seeing Magneto come back and work with Lorna Dane side by side. I mean, Nimrod seemed like such an unbeatable villain. It started to get on my nerves, even though I initially really liked him as a villain. But I liked seeing how they took him out. I liked seeing Storm back in action. I guess we still have to deal with the version of Nathaniel Essex that is Enigma and the Dominion outside of time and space. And then I guess Charles as well, who's, was helping Orcus eliminate humans supposedly in order to try and get a spot for his X-Men to survive. I mean, I really feel like Jerry Duggan did a lot with what he was given by the architects, the really probably primarily the editorial bullpen, which, you know, the edict now is like, okay, we got to get out of this so we can line things back up with the original superhero paradigm of the book. And then Kieran Gillen, how he kind of orchestrated that. You know, much love to Al Ewing and Jerry Duggan. Kieran Gillen, I don't know. I mean, I've said it before. I don't think it's entirely his fault, but as much as I liked some of what he did early on in this, I've grown to loathe his presence on the books. So is it his fault? Is it editorial? I don't know. But yeah, so not a bad ending. I've kind of since decided I'm going to get rid of Rise and X-Men Forever, but I will be keeping Fall House X primarily because number two's cover was so awesome. I wouldn't want to get rid of it. Something is Killing the Children. 37, we continue going back into Erica's past and seeing, you know, this Road Stories arc, really good, standalone, I guess. I, I mean, you get to see her fight an invisible monster in the presence of people that can't see it with a fucking chainsaw in a store. So, you know, I mean, this book just delivers every time. Army of Darkness Forever, number 7. It was fine. It's good. You know, I mean, this book is coming to a conclusion. I can't help but think the fact that they turned one of the 3 Necronomicons into a demon baby, a Necronomicon baby. I mean, it has a little bit of a Grogu vibe, which, you know, makes me roll my eyes a little bit, but I feel like Tony Fleecs has done a really good job and I've enjoyed this. One of the things I noticed about this, it's really more of like a cartoon strip than a comic book in some ways. There's just the way the panels tell the story, sometimes I get more of that vibe. Like you could cut this up and run it as a strip in Comic Shop News or something like that. John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America. This is another one. I think we've got, I'm not really sure how long this is going. I think maybe at least another 3, if not 5 issues. And it's funny, I was thinking like this is just becoming this very road trip. It reminds me a little bit of the first arcs of Shade the Changing Man. And it's this like road trip across America, kind of getting into the ghosts and the demons of America. And it's very effective. It feels very old Vertigo. And issue was very cool because it was actually kind of an anthology where there was a wraparound and then 3 distinct stories of Constantine and his people on the road in this, you know, this giant double-decker British bus that they have over here and they're driving across the American Southwest. And just 3 different people's stories within that they encounter. So that was kind of interesting, different artists on each one. I enjoyed it. I actually think this is going to tie not just into Sandman, but I think it actually might end up tying into Shade the Changing Man, but I'll have to reread those shades. It's been a while. It's that American Scream. It's the first 3 trades. I don't remember entirely everything about it, but it's good. It's classic Vertigo. And I feel like Cy Spurrier is tapping into that a lot. Also, there's a thing where this is starting to really remind me a little bit of James Tinian's Department of Truth, and I wonder if there's an inspiration being drawn from that. It's not going to cross over, obviously, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting. And again, it's just good to have a Constantine series back. If this was ongoing, I don't think I'd be reading it because he's another character like Frank Castle or so many others, Batman, where to me, a monthly dose is not necessarily required. Then just a couple things from last week. So I don't know if I talked about this book before. I picked up the first issue last month on a whim. This is Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and Iman Winkles, The Principles of Necromancy. This is published by Magma. I've never even heard of that company before. This was a lark, and that I bought the first issue, and I really liked it. It's arresting. It is a horror comic, but it's very intelligent. It deals with this doctor, Dr. Eyes. So set in a fantasy universe bereft of magic, The Principles of Necromancy follows Dr. Jacob Eyes, one of a small number of scientific physicians who have set their minds to the task of curing the ills of the world. But Dr. Eyes isn't satisfied simply to cure the sick. He basically wants to cure death. So it's an interesting premise, and again, visually arresting. The fucking mask this guy wears would be the best Halloween costume ever. And the art is really good. And yeah, Principles of Necromancy. I would recommend this. I know Lansing and Kelly have written a ton of, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy and I mean, so many other things that don't come to mind right away because I've never read any of them, but I know their names. This is cool to see them doing a create their own standalone. And then I'll just say that 2 books that have defied my expectations. So I jumped off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I won't be reading it when it comes back with Jason Aaron writing it, but I'm still kind of following out Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan. Really digging this book. It's kind of a last hurrah for the Turtles for me for now. And then, against all odds, this Marvel Aliens, it's a what if, and basically, what if Carter Burke lived from after the events of Aliens, the James Cameron sequel? And the first two issues convinced me. I'm really digging it. It's written by Paul Reiser and his son, which is kind of interesting, or co-written. And Adam Goldberg is involved in this. Hans Rodenoff is the writer. I guess the concept is Paul and Leon Reiser, Goldberg, and then Rodenoff and Brian Volkweiss. But it's been really good. I think this is going 6, maybe 7 issues longer than I thought. But I initially picked up because I thought it was just 3. But I'm enjoying it, so I say, carry on. So that is New Comic Book Day and a Beer. This is a pastry stout that I'll probably be sipping for the next at least hour. Again, delicious, but man, wow. And this is Drinkable Comics. We'll be back next week with Drunk on Energon to talk about Cobra Commander 5 and how awesome it was, Void Rivals 9, and whatever comes out next week. Hi, I'm Sean. Join me and my friends every week for the Horror Vision, where we talk about horror movies.